I attacked my brother after my daughter accused him of the worst crime imaginable, but when the truth came out, it was already too late to fix the damage we'd caused. Should he ever forgive us? I don't know where else to turn. Years have passed, but the consequences of what happened haven't disappeared. Not for me, not for my daughter, and certainly not for my brother. I thought time might heal our wounds, but here we are. The distance between all of us seems as deep as, or deeper than, when this all happened. I've tried, believe me, I've tried, but I feel like I can't fix this alone. So I hope you can give me some indication of what to do from here. 3 years ago, my family went through something extremely bad, the kind that can't be resolved with a simple apology. My daughter Lily, who was 13 at the time, accused my brother Grant of abusing her. When she told me, as a mother, I couldn't believe it. It's the worst thing a daughter can tell you, especially coming from someone as close as my brother. She came into my bedroom late one night, crying so hard I could barely understand her at first. When she finally calmed down enough for me to understand what she was saying, I remember feeling a mixture of anger, fear, and a fierce need to protect her. Someone had messed with my daughter, and that someone was a close person. You hear about these things happening in other families, on TV, but when it's your daughter saying those words, you don't think logically, you just react. And that's what I did. I confronted Grant the next day. I went to his house, and when he opened the door, I dragged him into the kitchen. I was shaking so much I could barely speak, and he kept asking me what was wrong. He was scared, but not because of what I was going to tell him, since he had no idea, but because he thought something bad had happened, an accident or something like that. He looked at me like I was speaking another language, and when I told him what Lily had said, he froze. I still remember the exact expression on his face. "That's something that will never be erased from my mind," he said. "What are you saying? Do you really believe this?" But I did believe it at that moment. I believed every word Lily had said. In my head, I couldn't believe that my daughter could lie about something like this. I knew my daughter, or so I thought, and I thought that what she said could only be true. I slapped him. I didn't even think about it. I just did it. I told him to never come near us again, especially Lily, to get out of our lives, and that I hoped he would die in the most horrible way possible for what he did. My parents were visiting in the other room and came running, confused and panicked because they could hear the commotion from our conversation. They asked many questions, but I wasn't in any condition to answer them, nor did I care to. I told Grant I was going to call the police, and I did. Those weeks after the police got involved were chaotic, not just for Grant, but for my entire family. My parents were devastated, trying to understand how their son could have done something so horrible, especially to another family member. Meanwhile, Grant swore over and over that he was innocent. The rest of the family didn't know what to believe, and I believed Lily because she had done a good job convincing me that what she was telling was real. She seemed so fragile, so scared, and I thought I was doing the right thing by being on her side. But then everything started to crumble. The investigation dragged on, and there was no evidence, nothing to back up Lily's accusation. Grant had an alibi for the day she said it occurred. Although I still believed Lily, small cracks started to appear in the story. One night, a few months after everything began, Lily came to me crying inconsolably again. She couldn't even look me in the eyes at first. Then she said, "Mom, I lied." I thought she was talking about something else, something that had happened that afternoon. I couldn't imagine she was talking about her uncle. But she continued talking, and that cleared everything up. She said that Grant hadn't done anything to her, that it was all a lie. She was angry with him after a family argument. I think they argued about her attitude and her new friends, some older girls she had been hanging out with, who turned out to be a bad influence. They told her to get revenge on him by saying something that would ruin him. I was completely in shock because the full realization of what had happened hit me. I wanted to scream at her, demand she explain why she would do something like this, but she was hysterical. She said she didn't think it would go this far, that she didn't realize it would all blow up and become such a big problem. I didn't know whether to hug her or push her away from me. The police closed the case after that. Grant was officially exonerated, but no one could fix the damage we had caused to his life. He lost his job during the investigation. His boss didn't fire him directly, but strongly suggested he resign because it would be best for everyone. His reputation was shattered, and even after everything was legally resolved, things in that area didn't improve for him. People talked, and regardless of what the truth was, there was like a cloud that followed him everywhere he went. Grant didn't yell or get angry when the truth came out. I think a part of me wanted him to yell at me to release all the pent-up anger he had, but none of that happened. Instead, he just looked at me, making things even worse. There wasn't an ounce of anger in his gaze when he said to me, "You believed her without even talking to me. You believed her," then he left. Since then, it's as if he's locked himself in a shell. He moved to a new apartment on the other side of town and hardly speaks to anyone in the family. Doesn't want to talk to Lily at all, and every time I try to call him, he reminds me that he's recording the conversation. I understand. I don't blame him for never trusting me again, but it still hurts. Lily has also been struggling. She lost her friends after everything came to light. Kids at school bullied her for being a liar. She's been in therapy since then, and although she's made progress, the guilt consumes her. She was just a child when it all happened, a child who made a terrible mistake under bad influences, but she's still paying for it. We all are. I thought time would soften Grant's heart, that eventually he would reconcile. But 3 years later, he's still as distant as ever, and I'm starting to lose hope that everything will go back to the way it was before. Lily's 16th birthday is approaching, and instead of being excited about the event, all she talks about is wanting to make things right with Grant. She says she doesn't care about the gifts or the party. She just wants her uncle to be part of her life again. I can see that guilt has consumed her during all these years. Like her, she seems to have a cloud or shadow following her all the time. She's always been a sensitive child, and I know that what happened changed her forever. She once told me she still has nightmares about it and wishes she hadn't done it because it destroyed everything in her life. She says she loves Grant, which is why she can't bear the guilt of what she's done anymore. She asked me to help her write a letter to Grant. It wasn't an easy process. She was crying inconsolably while trying to find the words to apologize. In the end, she wrote about how much she missed him, how sorry she was for what she had done, and how deeply remorseful she was for the pain she caused. She wanted him to come to her birthday party so she could apologize in person. I wasn't sure if it was a good idea, but I wanted to help her if there was the slightest chance of improving things in the family. I decided to call Grant and explain all this to him, to try to mediate between the two of them. I thought if I could get him to listen to me, I had a whole speech prepared for him. Maybe he would soften a bit, but the conversation was far from going that way, and ended up worse than I could have imagined in the worst possible scenario. He was polite but distant, as always. It was clear from the beginning that he wasn't open to the idea. I tried to explain to him that Lily was just a child when it happened, that it all happened because she was influenced by bad company and didn't fully understand the gravity of her actions. I even told him how she has struggled since then, lost friends, was bullied at school, and dealt with guilt every day. But it didn't seem to move him. And he told me everything he had lost to because of what Lily did. He said he still felt that people looked at him with distrust, even though he had been exonerated, and there was never any evidence against him. I know he's right, which is why I didn't know how to respond to any of it. I thought time might heal, or at least improve, the whole situation, but it was as fresh for Grant as the first day. I stood by Lily throughout the process 3 years ago, and in doing so, I didn't give him the benefit of the doubt or let him explain himself. I reacted in anger and believed the worst of him without even giving him a chance to defend himself. I've apologized for that countless times, but I know that doesn't undo the damage. After that call, I felt completely defeated. I had to tell Lily that her uncle wouldn't be coming to her party, and seeing the anguish on her face was almost unbearable. She nodded and said she understood, but she quickly went to her room because she was completely heartbroken. She's been carrying this guilt for so long. She has a lot on her shoulders for what she did, and I know she's desperate to make things right. The rest of the family has tried to help, but it hasn't made much difference. My parents have begged Grant to find a way to put the past behind him and rebuild the relationship. But he's made it clear that he doesn't want anything to do with Lily or me, for that matter. Believes the best thing is not to be in the same room with Lily to avoid any future problems. He's polite when he talks to them, but there's a distance that wasn't there before. Some family members think he's being too harsh, that it's not fair to hold a grudge against a teenager for a mistake she made under bad influences. But others say they understand why he's keeping his distance, that the pain he experienced isn't something one can simply ignore. I feel trapped in the middle, torn between supporting my daughter and understanding my brother's need for boundaries. I've been trying to find a way to fix this, but it's exhausting because they're all dead ends. The guilt I feel for what happened is one of the worst things. I acted out of love for my daughter, but in doing so, I destroyed my relationship with my brother and the love he had for me. I know I should have handled things very differently, but I don't know how to fix them now because I can't change the past. Lily says she'll keep trying to make peace, but I don't know if Grant will ever be ready to forgive her. I can't force him to put his pain behind him, but it's heartbreaking to see how this is affecting Lily. She was just a child when it happened, but she's not the same person anymore. She's grown a lot in the last 3 years, and I wish Grant could see that.
I know I can't fix this for her, but I wish I could. I wish I could go back to that day and handle everything differently, but all I can do now is hope that someday, somehow, Grant finds forgiveness in his heart. Comments. Your audacity has managed to position itself as one of the highest among Reddit posts. You called the police, slapped your brother, and basically helped ruin his life without a single piece of evidence, but now you think he's being too harsh for not forgiving your little mistake? Seriously? Being under bad influences doesn't justify what your daughter did, and playing the "she's just a child" card only makes you look worse. She wasn't too young to understand that accusing someone of sexual abuse would destroy their life. Grant is establishing boundaries to protect himself, something you should have done for him instead of jumping to conclusions. Honestly, you're lucky he even takes your calls. If I could advise that guy, I'd tell him to block you and your family and seek the best lawyer to at least get massive compensation that would allow him to move on, though I don't think all the gold in the world would do it. And if it's not clear, I think you and your daughter are despicable. Ah, yes, the classic "it's time to forgive and forget," except that the person who really lost everything isn't the one asking for forgiveness. You're so concerned about Lily's guilt and feelings, but where was that concern for Grant when you dragged his name through the mud? You want him to forget the job he lost, the people who still look at him with distrust, the family that turned their backs on him, all because a teenager threw a tantrum? Breaking news. Grant doesn't owe you or Lily closure. You don't deserve it. Maybe instead of pressuring him to fix your daughter's mess, you should focus on teaching your daughter that some things can't be undone with an apology and a birthday cake. Grant doesn't owe you an apology, and the best thing you can do now is leave him alone. He's not interested in either of you two or the stupid 16th birthday. Brother's post. My sister's post about me is full of half-truths. It's been an unpleasant surprise to find this post here, as I'm a person who likes to read Reddit posts and didn't expect to come across something like this, much less when the truth is partially told. I think I should give my version of the events. It's painful and hard to relive everything again, but this is what really happened. I've been reading this subreddit for a while, and what do I find today? A post from my dear sister telling her version of the story where I'm apparently the villain, all because I won't accept the apologies of a poor child, in quotes. We're talking about me being the bad guy for not forgiving her and her little angel for accusing me of being a damn predator. Well, I guess it's my turn to clarify things. I might sound a bit angry in my post, but that's how I feel right now. To anyone reading this, I don't care if you think I should forgive her because she's just a child. You haven't had your life ruined by a supposed child with a lie. This post isn't for validation or to get sympathy. It's for me because I've spent the last 3 years swallowing all the expletive while they've been playing the victims, and I'm tired of keeping quiet. Let's put everything on the table. 3 years ago, I received one of the most disgusting accusations a person can face. My niece Lily, who was 13 at the time, which is true, told my sister, her mother, that I had sexually assaulted her. I was completely shocked and didn't know what to say. Plus, I didn't think it was a joke from the first second. I thought she was saying it seriously, and that's how it turned out. Do you know what it's like for someone to accuse you of something so repulsive? And with my own niece, which is even more disgusting? My sister didn't stop for a second to ask me what the expletive was going on. Not one piece of evidence did she demand from Lily, and she didn't want to hear any version. She didn't let me tell her that I was somewhere else with other people at the time it supposedly happened. She came at me like a madwoman, slapped me with my parents in the house, screamed at me, called the police, and basically burned my life to the ground in a single afternoon. I can still hear her screaming, "I'll report you to the police," as if I were some kind of monster. And let's not forget the months of hell that followed. Police interrogating me, neighbors whispering, friends stopping talking to me, people I trusted looking at me like I was some pervert who should be on a sex offender registry. I even lost my job because my boss didn't like how it all looked. Guess what? Even when you're proven innocent, the damage doesn't magically disappear. Eventually, the truth came out. Lily admitted she lied. She made it all up because we had a fight, and she was angry with me. Apparently, her expletive friends gave her the brilliant idea to get revenge on me by accusing me of being a pedophile. And you know what I got from my sister when it all came to light? A half-hearted apology and a bunch of excuses. She's just a child. She was under bad influences. You have to understand I was scared for her. You can't destroy someone's life and then act like a, sorry, we'll fix everything. My sister didn't care about my side of the story when it really mattered. If she had just listened, all of this could have been avoided. She went straight to burning bridges, and that's what she got. Now there's no way to reconnect, and now she's crying about how difficult this has all been for her and Lily. She can drown in her tears. Here's what she didn't mention, or only partially. I lost everything. Lost my job, destroyed reputation. People still look at me like a monster even though I was proven innocent. There's no coming back from something like that. Even if the law exonerates you, people remember the accusation, not the truth. I had friends who stopped talking to me without even making a call. A girl I was dating left me because she needed time to think and never came back. Neighbors avoided me like I was some kind of plague. That's why I had to move. You don't recover from that expletive with a birthday party and a cake. They think if I have a slice of cake, everything will be better, and I'll feel better. My parents? Oh, they're a case. Since the truth came out, they've been pressuring me a million times that Lily was just a child, that she didn't understand what she was doing, and that I should forgive her because sometimes someone can make a mistake in the family. They've even accused me of being cold for not attending family gatherings. You know what? A family mistake is someone eating your food or dropping something on your floor during a party. But what they did is criminal. Are you kidding me? Where was all this family energy when they were treating me like a criminal? Where was the concern for me when my life was going to expletive? And now I'm the bad guy because I don't want to sit down to a nice family dinner and pretend everything is fine? They can go expletive themselves. Since my sister conveniently left some things out of her post, let me fill in the gaps. This wasn't an isolated incident of Lily behaving badly. She's been manipulative for years, and my sister has allowed it every step of the way. When Lily was younger, she would throw these massive tantrums every time she didn't get what she wanted, and my sister gave in every expletive time. She never disciplined her, never taught her that actions have consequences. We're not talking about an isolated act. It was a pattern. Nobody does something like what Lily did out of nowhere. There has to be a bigger background, and this excuse of bad influences? Please. Lily has been surrounding herself with expletive friends for years because my sister didn't care to pay attention to who her daughter was spending time with. She's always been more focused on being the cool mom than on, actually being a mother. But sure, let's act like Lily is the victim here, that she had bad influences when it's all in their faces. Let's ignore the fact that she ruined someone's life and got away with nothing more than a slap on the wrist. I think that's something that needs to be fixed. Let me make something clear. I'm sick of both of them. I don't care how sorry Lily is or how much therapy she's had. Some things can't be undone with an apology. I'm not interested in their apologies because that's just something that will help them. My life won't magically get better just because they apologize. Only their lives will improve because they'll feel better after having made every mistake in existence. I don't want their letters. I don't want their apologies. And I definitely don't want to sit across from her at a birthday party as if nothing happened. To my sister, stop trying to manipulate me with guilt to fix this for you. For anyone who thinks I'm being too harsh, put yourself in my shoes. Lose your job, your friends, and your peace of mind because someone lied about you, and then tell me how willing you are to forgive. No, I'm sure you'd be willing to not forgive for much less, but sitting with your phones in your hands and with a completely normal life, it's easy to write, "You should forgive her," as I read in my sister's post. You can't burn someone's life and then complain that the ashes are inconvenient to you. If you want, you can give me your names and addresses, and I'll go make false accusations to see how much you enjoy your expletive. I'll even ask for forgiveness and write you a little card. And if you want, I'll include the full package with a cake to erase everything. I'm sure you'd love that, you morons. Edit. I've reread my post now that I'm calmer, and I've found many errors that I've corrected. I was writing very quickly and wasn't thinking about grammar and spelling. There may still be some, and all because while I was writing, my anger kept rising more and more, to the point that when I finished writing, I just hit publish and went for a run because I needed to calm down. That prevented me from telling you that this post has brought out the worst in me, as you've probably noticed. That's why I want to sue my sister and my niece. No amount of money will help me feel better or fix my life, but I'm tired of them acting like, poor me, my uncle won't forgive me for a tiny mistake. Well, I'm going to leave this here. I can already feel my blood pressure rising. Update 1. I'm going to update my story with my sister and my niece because I left everyone hanging with my first post. There are people who have asked me if my sister has made any updates to her version of the story, but all I know is that she deleted the one she made and even closed her account when the lawsuit began. I don't know if she's made another one using another account. At least I haven't read it. For those who suggested moving to avoid being here where everyone knows my story, yes, that was an idea that has always been floating around in my head. Not all of my friends turned their backs on me, and in part, I stayed because of them, because starting in another city would be completely lonely. I've barely spoken to my family during this time, and I wouldn't have friends there or anything, which is why I felt too overwhelmed with a possible move. However, that's about to change, but I'll tell you about that after talking about the lawsuit. The outcome of the lawsuit, I don't know how to judge it. I've gotten a little over $40,000, which I don't know whether to consider enough. I mean, it's an impressive amount, but not enough to fix what happened. I don't imagine an amount large enough and realistic that would be. How do you put a price on what I went through? My niece won't go to jail. I guess that's the advantage of being a child according to the law when you commit these kinds of things. At least I know that money came from her college fund, so my niece will have to start saving again, which I think wasn't in her plans anyway since she was too spoiled to even go to college. If you're wondering how I know where the money came from, my parents told me, they called me to ask me to stop the lawsuit. They wanted to give me some breathing room because besides the college fund, they've had to touch their savings. $40,000 is not a small figure at all, and I know my sister doesn't have that kind of money, so it must have been painful to lose it, but I don't care. I still think they owe me more. They just had to leave me alone. But no, they need me to attend their party because if not, her heart would break. You know, there's only a certain amount of expletive a person can take, and this has been my limit. The money was also one of the things that kept me tied to this city. When you lose your job and don't have a six-figure job, it's not like money isn't a problem. I had to pay for lawyers and other expenses to survive. Now those $40,000 will be a big help, and since a friend moved with his family to a new city, I think my next destination will be there. He's one of the few friends and families who have helped me during this time, so moving to that place will not only feel familiar, but also less lonely. Plus, since they moved for work a few months ago, I really miss them. This is an opportunity to start over and also to get away from my entire family, their birthday parties, and their cakes. None of that.